I've been considering doing this video for a while now, and I just haven't because, well, look at how many people like me. And now look at how many people like my boy Jimmy here. Even if I managed to put together a killer argument, popularity is still on his side. A lot on his side. But I've decided to make the video anyway, because I like Yokai Watch, and I feel someone has to stand up and defend it. So I figured there's two ways I can go about doing this. I could do it like this.
Yokai Watch is not a Pokemon ripoff!
Or I could try to present a coherent counter-argument in a more respectable manner. I think you all know what the more reasonable option is. No, I'm kidding. Jimmy, buddy, pal, what's your beef with Yokai Watch, man? You're writing it off as a Pokemon ripoff without letting anybody else give it a shot for themselves? Come on, man, what are you doing? Man, it's been a while since I've cared about something that's been labeled a ripoff of something else. It almost brings you back to the elementary days when you'd argue with the other kids. Is Pokemon better than Digimon? Mario vs. Sonic? Hell, I even knew a guy that outright refused to play Meteos because he protested that it was a ripoff of Tetris Attack. But that's the thing about a ripoff. It might share some blatant similarities with an already existing and popular series, but that doesn't mean it can't spark a charm of its very own. Maybe even achieve some things that the original series never quite did. I mean, we may as well look back at Digimon. There's no argument here that Digimon wasn't made to compete with Pokemon, spawning a TV show coinciding with some video games, and the name of those games was still the same. Catch all these monster dudes and make them fight by your side. In hindsight, there's a lot of people that hated Digimon when it came out for being just that, a Pokemon ripoff. But 16 years later, in 2016, a lot of people still love Digimon. It's got a solid following still to this very day. I would argue that it's done things for me that Pokemon's never quite did. And that's while using the exact same premise, gotta catch 'em all. Am I right? But we're getting too far off topic. This is a video about Yokai Watch, not Digimon, so here's a down low. Back in late January earlier this year, 2016, a guy you may or may not know by the name of Jimmy Whetzel made a video about Yokai Watch. Now, this guy's a big Pokemon fan, that's not hard to figure out. Now, the video in question, it really bashes Yokai Watch.
The fights in this game are bad. They're awful, they're boring, and I hate them.
Now Jimmy, I know you got a lot of fans, a lot more than I do, so you must be doing something right. Maybe something I'm not doing right, who knows. Either way, people love to listen to you talk about stuff and they like what you say. And that's kind of what upsets me. The amount of people that watch your video and haven't played the game. All these people that unfortunately have to see it through your eyes and your eyes only. Eyes that bleed at the sight of the thing. So I'm gonna try and present some counter arguments and argue why maybe the way you looked at it wasn't the fairest, especially to the people that haven't played the game yet and will more or less take your word for it. I mean, they love you, Jimmy. They love what you say and you say what you love, so let's start.
And like with any Pokemon ripoff, there's gotta be an awful theme song that explains the entire premise of the franchise or just says its name over and over.
Okay, Jimmy, I'll give you that much. The American version of the theme song, it sucks. It really sucks. But clearly, you have not heard Garo Garo Po, because that song, that's some catchy shit. And it does accompany the majority of the American airings of the TV show, so you're half right with this one.
That's Renamon, guys. That's a fucking Digimon. They look exactly the same.
No, Jimmy, that's QB. It's not Renamon, it's QB. Yeah, sure, it does bear a strongish resemblance to Renamon, but that's because Renamon and QB are both based on the same thing. Renamon and QB are both based on a yokai, and this is a game about yokai. Okay, so before I go anywhere from here, I should probably point out that yokai aren't something they made up for this game. They're not like Pokemon or Digimon. They're an already existing thing. Yokai are supernatural beings that have existed in Japanese mythology, aka yokai mythology, for centuries. So, kinda in a way, yokai predate Pokemon by a long time. There just hasn't been a game about them. Anyway, there's a lot of yokai that have had things inspired by them. You probably don't even know it, but you probably know about a lot of yokai already. You just didn't know they were yokai, like Kappa. Kappa is a yokai, but of course so is Kitsune. A lot of things have been inspired by this particular yokai. Things in Naruto and Zelda and, wow, even Pokemon. Crazy, right? So yes, Renamon and QB, they do look similar, but that's only because they're both based on the same kind of mythology. However, I will admit they do use the same color palette. Level 5, that wasn't a smart move, because this is why comparisons to Renamon are much more easily drawn. It was possibly a coincidence, maybe not.
Riveting gameplay. Like, you gotta push a button, and hopefully you'll catch the bug. It's so fun.
Wow, Jimmy, that almost sounds like a game that you actually like. But no. I'll give you this one. The bug and fishing minigame, they suck. They really suck. They're not fun, they're imprecise, and it's not a good time. But they don't exist in the better half of the game. They're completely optional most of the time, and they don't really interrupt the game that much.
Those are Pokeballs. I mean, I know they're not really, but they are.
They are not Pokeballs, and I know you know not really, and I know you think yes they are really, but no, they're not Pokeballs, they're Gashapon capsules. Another thing in Japan that's popular that a lot of things have been based on, including, you guessed it, Pokeballs. So again, you're saying it's ripping off the design of something that's based on another design. You don't call Guilmon a ripoff of Charizard because they're both based off of a lizard, just like you don't say a Pokeball is a ripoff of a yokai capsule because they're both based on Gashapon.
There are several things that I think he looks like, and my video would get taken down if I showed you any of them.
Like what, Jimmy? Like what, marshmallows? Boom. Get at me, YouTube. Take down my video. Unlike Jimmy, I ain't afraid.
Whisper is a yokai, which is basically a ghost.
Oh, Jimmy, buddy, slow down. This is your biggest problem. That's all you know about yokai? They're essentially a ghost. I think this goes to show that he definitely has a lack of knowledge in the field of what this game is based on. And that's why I feel a lot of his criticisms are unfortunately blinded by ignorance.
The fights in this game are bad.
All you do is watch your yokai attack on its own, and then when the soulmate shit is full, you play this little touchscreen minigame, and then your yokai will do a special attack.
No. This is how the game works. It plays much differently than a traditional battle system in a way that I felt was really unique. So here's the deal. Yokai auto-attack. Like in Xenoblade. You know, Xenoblade Chronicles, you auto-attack because that's what you do anyway. When you have no other options, you use the regular attack. This is just simply a substitute for mindless button input, so you can focus on other things. Things like item management and the positioning of your yokai, which Buddy don't even really elaborate on. Okay, so you have 6 yokai out on the field at once. 3 in the attacking position, and 3 safely behind. Using the spin wheel on the touchscreen, you can position them, but since they're all locked in the same place on the wheel, there's a key strategy in where on the wheel you place them. So only the 3 yokai in the attack position will deal and receive damage. This means if you see an enemy charging up an attack that's going to screw over your whole party, you have to think within seconds, which 3 of these guys are you going to stick in the front to take that damage? Or maybe the attack's only going to target one of the 3, so do you risk leaving that one guy with the low health up front, hoping that he hits your meat shield, or do you throw him out back where he's safe, but now can't charge up his soul meter? It's simpler than it sounds, but it's a lot different than I'm used to, and I thought it was interesting. I kind of like this battle system. But Jimmy, my boy Jimmy, criticizes it based on the first battle. The first battle where you have 1 yokai, and not 6 yokai. So of course the level of depth isn't there yet, dude. That's like criticizing Xenoblade's battle system based on the first fight where you have the auto attack and 1 art. This game's battle system is stupid, and it's bad, and it's dumb, and it's bad. All you do is wait for Shulk to attack on his own, and every now and then you get to use Shulk's good attack. Then you gotta wait for it again. It's lame, it's boring, and it's dumb. No. It's a lack of understanding, dude. And what's worse, after making that statement, he's got the nerve to say this.
I really don't like this game. In fact, I didn't even finish it.
Jimmy, brother, bro, you only got to the 2nd boss. You got nowhere in the game, and you're criticizing it.
People complain about the new Pokemon being boring or ugly, but this thing is just an old lady.
No, Jimmy, buddy, pal, you've got it all wrong again. Just like I said before, yokai are just that. They're yokai. They're based on Japanese mythology. And keep in mind, that's Japanese mythology, so of course they're gonna seem foreign and even weird to us. Tattletale is an old lady, yeah, she is. But that's not a display of lack of creativity, it's a display of it's based on something. So how do you put that in a kid's game? You shrink her down, make her chibi and cutesy, as cutesy as you can make a creepy old hag look. You put them in the game, and that's what they did. And since you didn't play much of the game, you don't have a real reason to call the game lazy. Because yes, there's an actual criticism to make in that aspect in regards to the character design, because Yokai Watch has palette swaps. Unlike Pokemon or Digimon, where every single monster in the game is an original design with its own character model, Yokai Watch kind of stretches and bends the rules a bit, reuses some of the character models, recolors them, calls them different yokai. It's got palette swaps, recolors, you know the drill. That speaks to me as laziness. That would have been a valid criticism. That would have been a real point. That would have been a real argument. But you didn't make that argument, Jimmy, because you didn't play enough of the game. You didn't play enough of the game. But that's the extent of it. His criticisms are riddled with disinformation and ignorance. He's criticizing something he doesn't know enough about. He says he hardly got anywhere in the game, and he obviously doesn't know anything about the yokai mythology is based on, and that's not his fault. That's not his fault. Really, it's not. I didn't know anything about yokai mythology either until I played the game. And then I looked into it. I mean, shit's interesting. But that's what you do when you make a video criticizing something. You look it up, you research it a little bit. You maybe bring up the Wikipedia page and read a paragraph or two. It's really not that difficult. And unfortunately, when you don't do that, you might accidentally make a point or 2 or 7 that seem really unfair. My point is, Jimmy, buddy, pal, you don't have to like Yokai Watch. It's not the game for everybody, and it certainly isn't the game for you. But it's the game for me, bro. I love that game. It is the game for me, and it is the game for lots and lots more people. All you gotta do is give it a shot. I'm not talking about you, Jimmy. You gave it a shot, you didn't like it, that's fair. But I gave it a shot, and I liked it. So if you give it a shot, you might like it, you might not like it, but I mean, give it a shot. Just don't let this guy deter you from it, because that video is riddled with misinformation and a strong, strong bias for Pokemon. But hey, I'm not saying Yokai Watch is a perfect game by any means or anything like that. I mean, it's far from a perfect game. It definitely has its fair share of problems, but I mean, so did the first Pokemon game, so did the first handful of Digimon games, and so did the first anything, really. But when your sequel manages to outsell the thing it's ripping off in Japan, when the movie manages to outsell Star Wars in its opening weekend in Japan, you're doing something right. At least in Japan. But it's a really hard thing to localize because it's based on mythology that's so foreign and weird to us. But don't let that cloud your interest in it. But what do I know? Jimmy, you got your opinion and I got mine. They differ from each other, but that's okay because they're just opinions, and opinions don't really matter. It's just a matter of preference. We can all like what we like, and I'm sure there's a lot of Pokemon fans out there that'll agree with you and disagree with me, and I'm honestly expecting a lot of thumbs downs in this video because that's what happens when you disagree with popular opinion. You get a backlash, and I'm sorry, guys. Please don't kill me. But I'm sure there's at least a lot of yokai fans out there that'll actually appreciate what I had to say in defense of this game. And they might even give this video a thumbs up. But I'm sure that won't matter because apparently there's only 70 of us. I'm not gonna lie. I like Yokai Watch a lot. I really like Yokai Watch. I mean, I started watching the show. I found it hilarious. I got the game. I fell in love with it. Got sucked into the hype a little bit more, and I bought some of the plush toys and the watch. What am I doing with my life? You might call me a Yokai Watch fan, you might call me a Yokai Watch fanboy, but what I would call myself is a reasonable person that'll give something fair criticism, not based on bias or ignorance or lack of research. I'm someone who's a yokai fan and a Pokemon fan. I'm not the biggest Pokemon fan in the world, but you know, I've played the games, I collected the cards, watched the show, bought the toys, at least as a kid, not so much anymore, but you know, I had the works. And now that I'm all grown up, which I guess is a statement subject to argument, I've kind of been wanting something to rekindle the flame that was once made by Pokemon. And I guess in its place, something new comes. Something that can be considered a blatant ripoff by many people, but it simultaneously manages to be so foreign, so different. I guess you could say the more things change, the more they stay the same. Thanks for watching. No argument here that Digimon was not made to compete with Pokemon, and it even had some video games. That's not what the line says. That's not what the line says.